Welcome everyone to the FreeCAD Woodworker's Perspective. This is video number 2. So in video 1 we did the download. We learned to navigate through FreeCAD. We didn't really spend a lot of time drawing anything. I kind of wanted to save that for now and get all the initializing FreeCAD and getting things set up, show you how to set your mouse operations, how to use certain pull-down windows, and just kind of get you familiar with the program once you open it up and you are just navigating inside. So this is going to be a little more instructive on doing a couple of simple items. We're going to 3D model a couple of simple items to get you used to Sketcher. And then after this, we're not going to assemble things, a little too early for that. So let me do 2 or 3 videos on just using Sketcher on a single part that you would, if you were a woodworker, you would trace out something and cut it out and sand it. Something simple like that. And then I promise you, as we get into the other videos, it'll get a little more intense with 3D modeling all the parts and then positioning them into the assembly as though you would be what you would do in a workshop. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull up the FreeCAD here. A new file up here in the upper left. Remember, I told you can use the pull down here and start new, or you can do it from here, which this one here, the parametric part. In the future, I'll be using this more, but I want you to get used to using the file open first, because this parametric part, I guess shortcut. It opens up into part design, and it does the first couple of steps for you because it's so routine. But I want you to learn it first before we start using that. So let me go up here to File. We'll start a new one. New. Like I said, we're going to keep it simple. So now that we've started a new file, let's name it. And that name will show up down here when we're done, just to show you that's where the tab is. There to the left of that is the Start tab. You can always go back to there, but now that you have a file open, we'll use this tab right here. Alright, so let's do a Save As. Save As, and I'm going to call this a coaster. As you can see, some of the other things I have drawn up in here, but we're going to call this coaster. Coaster. And I'll probably override what I did there. That was from lesson number 1. I think I drew a coaster as well, but we're going to start a new one, and I'll select yes there. Alright, so here we are. We've named our drawing coaster. I'm going to go to the Model tab and show you we have no body there. I'm going to go to Task tab, and we're going to say Create a Body. And again, like I said in the last video, you can use Part Design to come down and create a body, or you can do it from here, or you can use this symbol here to create a body. It doesn't matter. Let's just go ahead and, just for the heck of it, use this symbol here. Okay, and now it's asking you, it knows the next step is to create a sketch, so it's asking you to create a sketch. I'm going to go to the Model tab and show you now we have a body. And before we start a sketch, I like to get in the habit of renaming the bodies, especially when you start having multiple bodies. It's good to get into the habit of labeling them. And in this case, I will call it a coaster again. And I'll click here and I'll save it. Go back to the task tab, and like I said, create sketch is the next step. So right here, they know what the next step could be, so they give you that option here. But again, you can do it here, create a sketch, and under sketch, create a sketch. So this time I'm going to use I'm going to continue to use the icons up here. So I'll create a sketch. It's going to ask me what plane, and I want to put that on. And you've got a couple options here. I know I'm repeating myself from the last video, but in time I'll back off on that. I just want to do this for reminders. But most items are drawn on the XY plane, this plane right here, which this cube is showing that's the top view, and you can select it here. So you can select it here and it'll start the sketch. You can select it here, hit it, and then hit OK, or you can double click it there. So just to be different, I'm going to go ahead and select the XY plane here. And there we go, we're ready to start. Okay, so again, keeping it simple, a coaster is pretty much a rectangle. So I'm going to go up here and select a centered rectangle. That little dot there means that it will be centered wherever you select, which I'm going to select this this intersection of the Y and X datum lines, datum lines. Alright, so centered. You see the crosshairs in the middle of that purple circle. Crosshairs, when you get close to that node, select it, and then you can just you can let go of the button and you can just drag your mouse around, and then you can use your left button to select anywhere. So I'll go ahead and select there. Alright, and then you're going to right click once to get out of that mode, and then now we need to apply a dimension to constrain the item. That's another good habit to get into. You see right here it's got two I think it's dimensions of freedom, meaning that if you grab this line or grab a corner, it hasn't been dimensioned yet, so you can size it that way. So let's go ahead and put a dimension on it, and then later on I'll give a better explanation of why we're putting dimensions on here, especially when you start overlapping and fitting parts together. It's a good thing to do. So to apply a dimension, I'll select this line here and apply a vertical. Select this little triangle here to do a drop down, and there's the vertical right there. I know most woodworkers are probably going to be working with the imperial dimensioning system or imperial system. They're not used to working with millimeters, so there's a way that you can go in and set it for inches instead of millimeter. I'll get into that later in other videos, but I've had a lot of difficulty with that once I invoke inches and I start using other functions in FreeCAD. It doesn't work. It doesn't play well with some of the other commands. I hope that makes sense, because the core programming of FreeCAD is built on millimeters. So, but for right now, what you can do up here is put inches in, and I'll show you how to do that. Right now, I'm just going to hit the delete key and hold it down until the millimeters go away. There you go, it's gone. And I know that a coaster is about 4 inches, so I'm going to put 4. And you have to use the inch marks or it's going to give you millimeters. So I put 4 inches and I'll hit OK there. And you can see that calculated that, translated it into millimeters, 101.6. So now let's do this. Let's do a horizontal. Select that line with my left button. Do the pull down. I have a horizontal constraint. And I could do the same thing of holding the delete key down and doing 4 inches with the inch mark. But I already know that this is 4 inches and it was 101.6, so I'm just going to go ahead and type 101.6 and then hit. You could either select enter on your keyboard or hit OK here. Okay, so now over here on the left you see this item is fully constrained. You can't grab it and drag it around or move it. It's locked in to this point here. So what we want to do next is close the sketch, and now it's ready to be to invoke a pad operation. Alright, so but before we do that, I want to show you the model tab over here, what's happening so far. So we started out with a coaster. By default they give you the origin, which most of the time you really will not be using that, and then for certain situations you will, and we'll get into that later too, other videos. But here we are with a sketch. This is why it's parametric. Each operation you do, it keeps track of it, so you can go back and modify things, which we'll get into that here shortly. So let me go back to the task tab and let's go ahead and do the pad operation. Either here, the pad operation is there, and under part design it's under additive feature, pad there. So sticking with the icons, since I started with icons, I'll just go ahead and use this pad. It defaults to 10 millimeters, and I want to use a 1/4 inch. So again, to type in inches, instead of calculating it in my head or using a conversion calculator, I'm going to hold down the delete key on the keyboard until the millimeters go away, and then I'm going to put in 0.25 with an inch mark, and then we'll hit OK. Okay. Alright, there we go. A coaster. Now, like I said, let's do some modifications to this coaster. And so, like I said, the parametric is tracking all your steps. This sketch here rolled up into the pad, since the pad was the last operation, giving it thickness. I'm going to hit edit pad. I right clicked on that pad, and then now I'm hitting edit pad with my left button, and it showed me that 1/4 inch converted it over to 6.35 millimeters. Okay. Alright, I'm going to accept that. I was just curious to see what that was. Alright, so now let's go back and do something with the sketch. You see that drop down, this this triangle here to the left of the pad operation, you can hit that and you can find the sketch that's rolled up there. So you can double click this to modify the sketch. So with the left button, I will double click it and the sketch comes back up. Okay. And what I wanted to show you here is a sketch modification. So let's radius these corners here. And you'll see as we apply the radiuses, it's going to break the fully constrained item. I'll show you. So here we go. I selected that with the left button. We'll select that line and then that line, and it applies it. And you notice the red dots are where I hit with the with my crosshairs here. So I'll do it again with the left button. Do this a little larger. Left button, and we're going to resize those. So we're good to go. I'm just showing you that as you do this, you might get large and small radiuses, and you might be trying to figure out what's going on, and that's what's going on. All right. So now it's under constrained. We got 4 degrees of freedom. So now we want to apply a radius to these. Constraint radius. I'll hit this one here. A dimension, which I'll hold down the delete key to get rid of the millimeters. And I'll put 0.5 inches. We'll just give it a 1/2 inch radius fillet. Hit OK there. All right. Once we do that, we can, I'm going to right click to get out of the dimensioning mode. What I'm going to do now is select this radius and the other radiuses and set them as equal. So you notice over here we have 3 degrees of freedom, and it should be those 3 radiuses. So let's see if we can fix that in one shot without having to apply a radius to every single one individually. Alright, so I'm going to select this with my left button, and I'm going to select this one and work my way around, and this one here. I'm going to take a minute here to show you that as you're selecting over here under the elements, it shows you what you have selected in case, because sometimes I'm selecting these and they're not staying highlighted, at least in the view. But over here I can see where they are, all 4 selected. Okay, so with all 4 selected, I'm just going to simply hit the equal sign. And there, now all radiuses are set to that 1. And what I'm doing here is selecting this radius with my left button, holding it down, and then I can just drag it anywhere I want to place it if it's in the way of something. It looks better sitting there. Okay, so now I'll close it and we should see the modification without having to pad it again. So there you go. No padding, additional padding required. It just takes the outline, the sketch that you did, and applies it to the pad that you did previously to that same sketch. That's the key, that it all happens within that sketch there. Okay, now what I want to do is show you some rules on, I guess I should say, applying holes, or better yet, showing how the wireframes in the sketches, how they can overlap but can't be outside of the perimeter of the sketch. So let's take a look at that. I'll double click on the sketch here with my left button, and with this coaster, let's just throw a circle in here. Now if I apply it to that node there, then it's going to be locked in there, and I won't be able to move the circle. I want to be able to move the circle to demonstrate to you, one of the rules of FreeCAD. So let's just go ahead and do a circle here in this quadrant. Not that you would ever want a circle in your coaster, but again, for demonstration. I'm going to right click to get out of that. All right, now this circle, we can grab the line here, change the radius. We can grab the node, move it around, or I guess I should call it the point. Yeah, create a point. So that is a point. I've been calling it a node. I'm used to other programs. All right, so we got 3 degrees of freedom. We know it's this. It's floating around when we grab it, and you grab the line, you can change radius. But now let me show you. I'll close it, and you can see what effect it has on the coaster now. Close that, and you can see it puts a hole in the coaster. All right. Now I'm going to double click on Sketch again, and let's move that hole over. Let it overhang the sketch a little bit. Let's close it and see what happens there. Yep, that doesn't look good. So the hole has to stay inside of the outline of your sketch. Now let's try something different. I'm going to go into the sketch, and now I'm going to use a command here that is a trim command. So I'm going to go ahead and select that left button, and I'm going to grab this to trim it, and you can see where it puts the two. It shows you the intersections with little green circles. It's going to trim from circle to circle, and if we selected it over on the right side, it would take that piece out. But we want to take this piece, do that, and then we'll see what effect that has. Right click to get out of that. I'll close it, and still we're having an issue. I'm going to try to do a redraw at the pad. You see this little marking, that little red marking on the pad? It shows me it may require something called a refresh. Let me try that. Nope. Alright. There's an X in the sketch, so something's not right there. Let's go back and see what we can do. Alright. What I'm going to do now is use this trim command again, but then remove this line between those two intersections. Select that. And now let's see what effect it has on the pad. Close it, and there you go. So when you have lines competing with each other, you do have errors, because FreeCAD program does not know how to work with that situation. All right, so let me go back to Sketch, and here let me try to reverse what we did here, so I can move the circle around some more. There we go, that line's coming back, and the circle's coming back. Now let's place the circle outside of that sketch area and see what happens. Close that, and it's not shown. That is something called, I think it's, can't remember the exact name for it, I'll have to look it up, but it's when you have two outlines, or two outlines within the same sketch, it will not show both of them. Now there is a way to do that, I don't do that often, but I'm going to look into that and provide more information on that for the next video. All right, we'll go back to Sketch, double click it, and move the circle. Just put it here, grab this line, change the radius, and then close it. And there you go, there's the hole. So, all right, I think you get it. So let me select the circle and delete it. Select that. And I'll use my delete key on my board to get rid of it. And there we're back to where we began with it fully constrained. So let me close that. And I'm going to go up here and hit the isometric to show it. Okay, that's it for the coaster. What I want to do next is I'll do one more item. They're called toaster tongs. We'll do that so that I can introduce fillet. I'm sorry, not fillet. Introduce chamfer to you, and also I'll introduce fillet, and then we'll come back to this coaster and I'll show you an alternative to drawing these corners in the sketch where you can fillet it after it's been padded. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and save it, and I'll be right back with to begin the toaster item. You can see I changed my appearance. I had to film this on a couple of different days. So let's go ahead and start a new item to build, and this one's going to up the level just a little bit and add a little bit more to what we were just working on with that coaster. So let me go ahead and switch over to CAD here for a moment. I'm sorry, FreeCAD. All right. All right, there we go. Let's start a new file. Okay, before I do that, I need to turn on this dot here. There we go. So y'all can trace it better. All right, we open a new file. We start a new file. Now let's name it, because it doesn't have a name on this tab yet. So I'm going to go ahead and save it as, there you go. And you can see some other things I've been working on. I'm going to name this one Toaster Tongs. And you'll see what that is when we get into it. Let me save that. All right, I'm in the Task tab. I'm creating a body. Go to the Model tab. You see the body's created. And I'm going to call this, again, just trying to get used to naming items. We'll call this one the toaster tongs. Oh, tong 1. And go back to the task, and then now I'm going to start the sketch. I'm going to be on the XY plane. I'll just double click it from here to be different. Double click, and there we go. Now the toaster tongs are going to be about 7 inches long and about 1 inch wide, but there are some curves in here, some other things that we're going to learn as we build it. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So let me go ahead and draw the outline of it for you, and then we'll go from there. All right, now since I know it is 7 inches long. I want to check the size of our view scale right here. I mean our view by putting a construction line in here. I'm just going to put it over here on this side because I want to get a feel for the length of the toaster tong. And I'm going to draw another one over here. Line. Set that. You see the to the lower right hand side of that purple circle, there's a line that goes straight up and down. That's showing me that it's locked into a vertical constraint. So if I hit enter, then that line should be perpendicular, well, perfectly straight up and down, perpendicular to the XY line here is what I was trying to say. Alright, so let's put a dimension on there so we can tell how long that is. We'll go from endpoint to endpoint, and we're at 210. Press delete down, get rid of the millimeters. I'm just going to put 7 inches. Hit enter. Alright, so I got the right size screen. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Hit delete key after I select it. And how do I want to do this? I will put this back over on regular lines so they're not construction lines. And I'm going to start off with let's do this one right here, an arc where we have a center. Put the center as the intersection of the X and Y right there, and I'll just pull it out to there and go here, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm going to right click to get out of that mode and then grab this circle and just pull it over, just so it crosses this Y line there. Alright, then I'm going to do another circle here, or another arc, center, put it right there on that line. Try it again, there we go, there. I'm going to start it here. Well, I want to go inside because this is going to fit inside that other arc that I made. So I'm going to select it there with the left button and then pull that arc around and select it about right there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is draw a line, but I want it on the tangent. The tangent of this arc. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to just draw the line over here. Right click, get out of that. Here, start that over. Just put a line over here, pull it out to here. You can see the horizontal to the lower right side of the purple circle. So that constrained it to a horizontal. I'm going to do the same down here while I'm still in the line mode. Select with the left button, pull it. You can see that it's horizontally constrained with that horizontal constraint symbol to the lower right side of the purple circle. Hit select. Okay, now what I want to do is make the end of this line tangent to this arc. So I selected the end, I selected the arch. Let me come out of that. Alright, so what I want to do is make the end of this line tangent to this arc. So I'll select the end of the line, and I'll select the arc, and I'll go up here and look for, there's constraint tangent. So I'll hit that one, and there you go, you see the line drop, and then come up here and hit tangency, and that line jumps to it. Now what I need to do is to remove where that arc overruns there, and that's this symbol up here where it's a trim the edge. So I hit that. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see it better. When I select it, you can see the green circle on the right and the green circle at the intersection of the X and Y line. And when I select it, it'll remove that part. Now, for some reason, it didn't like that. So let me reverse it and let's see what we can do to fix that. Oh, okay. It shows that it's there. Now let me try it again. With the other arc and select that. Okay, it looked like that one took. All right, we have the line tangent to that circle. I'm going to go to the end of this line here. There, and I want to angle it in this direction here. Then I'm going to do the same thing down here, angle it in. There you go. All right. Now I will draw a line segment from this endpoint. I don't want to connect to that circle yet. Ultimately I will, but right now I'm just trying to get the line there, and then I'll use the tangency command to attach that line to that arc. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing up here. Endpoint, come over there. You see that the symbol on the lower right side of the circle is showing that it's constrained horizontal, so I will select there. Now I want to make this line tangent to that arc. So I'll select the end of the line. I'll select in the general vicinity here of where I need it to be tangent, and then go up here and select the tangent symbol there. Okay. Alright, so what is happening here, I believe I need to pull the arc over. There you go. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to pull this arc over as well. I should have more of the arc coming around, so it would have connected and trimmed back. So I'm going to have to, let me go ahead and make this tangent to this arc by the endpoint here, then select the arc, then select tangent. There we go. And now we can use this trim selection here to remove a piece of the arc. I'm going to start with this one down here and then try that one there. Okay. All right. So let's put some dimensions on there. The center point for these two arcs, they're 5/8 inch apart. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll select the center point here and the center point here, and go up and get a horizontal constraint and hold delete down until the millimeters are gone, and do a 5/8 inch mark, and there we go. And we'll grab that dimension and pull it up. You can pull it up and slide it anywhere you want to get it out of the way, but that's usually what I do to try to get the dimensions out of the view, out of the way. Okay, next I'm going to set this radius to 7/16 on this arc here. So I'm going to select it and find the radius, which is here, radius constraint. Hold down delete key, get rid of millimeters, and we want 7/8 with the inch mark. enter. Okay. Get that out of the way. Okay, so as you can see, we have the arc there constrained. And just for your reference, I'm not working this off my head. I'm actually looking at a drawing of this item that we're sketching, and I'm just saying it verbally. I think in the future I'm going to take screenshots of some of this stuff that I'm working with and show it to you, but right now I'm looking at a book. So bear with me through this one, and I'll try to get pictures up for reference on future videos where we're designing these items or actually copying a design. Alright, the radius here is going to be 5/8, so let me select that, find the radius command, and put 5/8 with inch marks, hit OK. And you can see that they have turned green, so these radiuses are constrained. So with these radiuses constrained, these lines here constrained to horizontal, although this one doesn't look like it's constrained to horizontal. We'll come back to that one. So the distance vertically from this X datum line, these lines are already set by those radiuses, so we don't have to dimension from the X datum down to these lines individually, at least I don't think, but let's get into it and see if it makes us do that. But if I did this correctly and these lines, these endpoints are joined to each other, then I should not have to do that. Alright, so I'm going to set a length on these lines, and I believe that might help us constrain it even further. Alright, it's showing that it is 6 15/16 from the center of this arc out to the end of the tongs. So let's go ahead and try that. Alright, select the center of the arc, come out to this furthest endpoint here. I'm going to go up and hit that triangle to bring the menu down, and I'm going to select the horizontal constraint. Hold down delete key, and then I'm going to make that 6 15/16. Actually, I'm just going to round it to 7. Put 7 with inch marks, and there we go. I'm going to pull that down, get it out of the way, and we got to work on this point here. I'm just going to go ahead and drag it over, get it approximately where it should be. And while I'm at it, I'll do the same for this. Grab these points, pull them over, because we know that's going to be approximately where it is. Alright, let's do the same thing for this top line here. Grab the center of that arc, grab the endpoint on that line, look for the horizontal distant constraint, and I want to set that to 7 inches, holding my delete key down, 7 inch mark, and select that. Okay. Alright, we've got it. Looks like we just got these two lines right here to constrain, so they'll turn green. You can see we got 2 degrees of freedom here. I'm going to select that, and it's showing me that 1, 2, 3, these 4 lines, which you can see as I drag my cursor over those lines. When you look in the sketch, you can see those line segments turning color. So it shows, it's letting me know that this selection up here, the degrees of freedom, is going to show you where you still have work to do to constrain everything. So let's go to work on that and see what we can do. Go back, look at my sketch. From what I could tell, we need just to set an angle here, and the sketch that I'm working off of does not provide an angle, so we're just going to find an angle that looks good to us and use that. In fact, I'll just go ahead and hit that line, select that line right there, that line segment, and let's go find an angle. Angle dimension, constraint to an angle. I think that's what we want. And I'm getting an error, wrong selection. I need to select two lines. So let's try that one again. I'll right click to get out of it. Alright, so this time I'm just going to select this line segment and the line segment above it, and then try the angle constraint. And there you go, it gives me 22. Let's just go with 25. I'm going to type 25. Enter. And there you go. And show we have 1 degree of freedom. It should be these two line segments here. So I'm going to select that just to show you. And when I put it over the line segment 7, you can see that in the view. Line segment 6 is a short line segment. Just trying to get you used to using this degrees of freedom to kind of help you pinpoint where items are not constrained. Alright, so let's go ahead and constrain that item. The angle, like we did on the upper angle here. I'm going to select this line and this line segment. Go to my pull down, hit angle constraint. And I'm getting an error again because I likely did not select these well enough, or it didn't take. Let me try that again. Right click, to get out of it. Alright, I'm going to select this line and this line, select angle, and there you go, it took that time. Type 25 for the degrees. There. Now we got a sketch that is fully constrained, and this toaster tong is ready to be given some pad thickness. So let me close this. Use my mouse wheel to go down a little bit here. Now this toaster tong is 3/4 of an inch in height in the Z direction. So when we pad it, select pad up here, it defaults to 10 millimeters. Since that's already highlighted blue, all I gotta do is hold my delete key down until millimeters disappear, and put 7/8 with an inch mark and hit enter. And there you go, toaster tongs. Okay, I guess you could make these to pull your toast out of a toaster. Anyhow, I thought it was a pretty good exercise to go through to kind of get you used to dimensioning and show you that even, I'm not the highest experienced person in the world of FreeCAD by any means, but I do have a pretty good experience with it. And you can see, I guess as I was trying to explain it, I was making wrong selections and trying different approaches. So it's I think it just takes a lot of work to get to a level to be able to go through this quickly. What I did was pretty slow. Had I done this without having to explain it, I could have probably zipped through it pretty quick. But I want to make sure you understand all the challenges of putting together something even this simple. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do, the sketch is showing me that I have to have a chamfer right here on this end. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Let me look. Let me go. I'm going to hit the front. Get this. The thing that's throwing me is that when you do chamfers, you usually just select an edge, like that edge, and you do a chamfer, and it will put a, it's kind of like sanding off the rough edge of the component. But this one is asking me to put a chamfer on a point. Let's try it. I don't think this is going to work, but let me try it. Do that. And once I selected the point, your chamfer command is right up here, this symbol here. Select that. Right. See down here, it says that I need an edge to select. Alright, I tell you what, I want to show you an example of what that chamfer does, and then I'm going to figure out how to manually put a chamfer on this end here. So, alright. Swing this around. I'm going to cancel out of that. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an edge. Let me grab this edge right here. And I'm going to hit the chamfer command. And it defaulted to going all the way around the item. It usually does that when the lines are connected. So you can see it put a small chamfer. I can increase that chamfer size over here with these arrows, 1 millimeter at a time. And you can see it deepens the chamfer. Okay, and then if you keep increasing the chamfer, if the chamfer size gets larger than the thickness of your material, then it'll unchamfer it pictorially, and you created an error. So if I click this one more time, it's going to go up to 5 millimeters, and I don't know if that's going to mess up the chamfer or not. Let's try it. Oh, it allowed it. I'm going to keep going up until it breaks. Oh, it allowed 6 millimeters. 7, it allowed 7. 8. Not okay. I think it's working off the thickness right here. So let me keep going until, just to see what happens, how far we can go with this chamfer. It's either going to run out of room here at the top, or it's going to run out down here at the bottom and then give me an error. One more. Now we're at a point. I can see it's got a little bit of surface there. I'm going to chamfer one more time, and I think this is going to break it. Chamfer, there you go, broken. So I wanted you to see that here we got a chamfer set for 23 millimeters, and we broke the chamfer by going too far. That's something that you can use if you are trying to chamfer something and it's not working. Your material could be, the thickness could be too thin. You're trying to put too much of a chamfer, a large chamfer on a thinner item. So now I'm going to back it down, and it should back up, go back to where we were. Okay, I'm going to cancel that actually. Now let's work. This is going to take me somewhere I didn't want to go, and I'm going to go ahead and do it for today's lesson. I'm going to select the front here. We're going to manually, no, that's good. If I try to do this manually, it's going to require that I go create clones of surfaces, and I'm not ready for that. So I'll tell you what, let's wrap it up for today. Please save this as toaster tone or whatever you want to name it, because when I'm ready to get into showing you how to use these clones up here, which is very powerful in 3D modeling, we'll pull this back up and correct. But what they want me to do is put a chamfer from here down to here. and there's no really easy way doing it without going into cloning or drawing the sketch on this face here, which, like I said, I'm not ready to go into that yet. So let's go ahead and call it a day for that one. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and do what I normally do, hit this parameter. What is it called? Perspective. I get tongue-tied sometimes here. So my perspective, I just have a habit of hitting perspective and then just kind of getting that, taking up a lot of the view area before I save it. Let me hit the model tab, see what we've done today, open up the pad, and you can see we drew a sketch. I'll turn the sketch on. Oh, it's not going to work like I wanted it to. Anyhow, we worked on the sketch, we did the pad, and that was really about it today. But we did learn a good amount of commands for starting sketches, where you can go in and draw your own items if you like and play around with it. And I will come back and try to challenge you a little bit more each time. So for the toaster tong, let's just go ahead and save it as toaster tongs, which I've already done when I first opened it. You can see it's already toaster tongs. So what I'll do is just hit save. There, I'm saved. Yay. Okay, so thank you very much. You can see I am looking different here. I think I mentioned earlier, I had to film this on 2 different days. I'm trying to get better at putting more content out, and it is a challenge for someone who is not used to being in front of a camera and always shy at giving presentations at work and things like that. So as I do this, I'm going to get better, hopefully. Any feedback that you have, I know I'm a new channel, I don't have a lot of videos, but if you're someone that looked at this and sees some room for improvement for me, give me feedback. I appreciate it. I do intend on continue doing this, and I do eventually want to work up to an advanced level of designing guitars. I've got a couple of ideas for CNC machines. I want to build my own CNC machine, and in time I want to do all that. But at the same time, it's helping me to learn FreeCAD better by teaching it. So I appreciate you hanging in there, being my audience, and I hope that this series is going to benefit absolute beginners, because I know there are other people that could run circles around me right now with just very little experience. But for the absolute beginner, I'm going to try to make this for them. So I appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a great day, and steady as she goes.